3g6 is another very solid option for black, or certainly an attempt to be solid, by which black, in bringing his bishop to g7, hopes to get some counterplay against d4. And against this line, I'm going to show you my game against Peterser from Ramato Sharon 1991, in which I got a good attack with white. I think black didn't play it in the most accurate way, but I still think it's a pretty good model of how to play with white, and perhaps improve my attack a little bit later on. So after g6, knight c3, bishop g7. Bishop e3 reaches Davies Peterser. It actually came about via a slightly different move order, but it's for the sake of simplicity, then I'm giving this via a fantasy Caro-Kann move order. Black now took on e4, and it's possible that he shouldn't do that. I think the critical line may well be queen b6, which has got the idea of taking on b2. And against that, I believe white should play queen d2, and then after queen takes b2, rook b1, queen a3, e takes d5, reaches a kind of complex and not very clear position. Like this, with white's going to develop probably with bishop c4 and knight e2, and there again black's position is pretty solid, and he has inflicted at least a little bit of damage on white's pawn structure. I would say that this line is rather unclear rather than anything else. Instead of this, the immediate capture on e4 gives white a broad pawn centre, which has to be considered as one of the main objectives if you play the fantasy Caro-Kann. D takes e4, f takes e4, and now knight f6, knight f3 really left white with a very nice looking position, because these pawns on d4 and e4 have been left intact. Okay, black castled on the king's side, and I played queen d2. The idea to castle over on the queen side, and also exchange the bishop on g7 with the move bishop h6 in due course. So black very logically now played b5 to put some pressure on this pawn on e4 with the threat of b4, and I responded with just bishop d3, defending the pawn, developing the bishop, and also, by the way, in some circumstances, white might actually want to castle this way, if it's to his advantage to do so. Okay, black played a6, possibly slightly passive a6. I think black wants to give himself the possibility of going c5 as well, instead of just b4. But I still think a6 might be a tiny bit passive, and leave black very much on the worst side of this. Okay, I played bishop h6, getting on with the job, and black, seeing the danger, decided to start eliminating some pieces. He went bishop g4 now, in order to at least be ready to eliminate this dangerous knight on f3. I took on g7. Black recaptured with his king, and I played e5, threatening to take the knight check. Black played knight d5, and now I kept the pieces on by going knight into e4. And also white has got this c5 square for his knight. I mean, when black plays knight to d7, which he does next, then that's not such a big deal, but it does still keep the option of playing just positionally for white. When I think there are probably strategic ways to play this position, as well as the ultra-violent way that I choose on the next move. So, okay, knight e4, knight d7 develops the last piece, covers c5, and now I decided to go for the jugular with a move h4. Very sharp move. Some people would say is rather untypical of me, but it was one of those days. The idea is to just head straight forward with h5 next move, and then if black were to take it with his bishop, probably go g4, because I'm trying to clear the h file, so my queen will be able to come into h6. What's black going to do here? Well, he blockaded with h5, which makes perfect sense. I'd seen this and carried through my idea, which is to go knight h2, bishop f5, and now g4. Again, very, very sharp, and possibly not fully justified, I don't know, because black is a better defence in a minute. H takes g4. I pushed on with the move h5, and the idea, of course, is just to open up files and open up this h file in particular as quickly as possible. Black, I think rather obviously isn't going to take the pawn on h5. If he does this, then queen g5 check, bishop g6, knight takes g4, hg, queen h6 check, king here, queen h8 would be mate. But at this point, after h5, black could have defended himself in a better way than he did in the game. What he could have played is the move queen to b6, which after consultations with I couldn't actually find anything that convincing for white. I mean, I suspect. If you go h takes g6, then Shredder actually just wanted to take this d4 pawn off and try and break my attack with queen e3 check. Which is really not cricket at all. I think white would have to play c3 in this position. But as I say, this position isn't really that clear, because I'm not clearly mating black at all. After this, then Shredder wanted to play c5 and get the queen covering the king side. And contrary to what I thought during and even shortly after the game, that it wasn't quite such a masterful attack. Black may be defending here, and perhaps white should have toned it down slightly and conducted the attack in a slightly more sane manner than the way I actually did. But intimidation brought its rewards, and after h5, then black cowered with the move e6, and after this, all turns out to be well in the world, and white's attack comes crashing through. I'll show you the remainder of the game. White castled queenside, getting ready to bring another rook into the game with rook d g1 and knight takes g4, etc. So black now played f6, and I play rook d to g1, and he eliminates some weapons here. I mean, if white is allowed to play knight takes g4 with these two rooks and the queen and the bishop and the knight bearing down on black's king, then it's really all over. So black tried to cobble together a kind of ramshackle defense here by taking on e4, and after I took back, he played f5. But as I've already mentioned, my blood was obviously up on this day, and I played knight takes g4, just going in, and there's really no defense to this, because if for example black takes back here, then just rook takes g4 is going to be murder on the king side, and if he goes say g5 to try and keep white out, then just bishop takes d5, c takes d5, knight f6 will come crashing through, because knight takes f6, white takes on g5 check, and then it's going to be mate in a few moves, I think. So yeah, there's really no defence to this. I mean, black played rook h8 to challenge the h file and at least sort of protect the h6 square. But then bishop takes d5, c takes d5, knight f6 happened anyway. Black continued for a few more moves. Knight takes f6, rook takes g6 check, king f7, rook takes f6 check, king e7, and now switching direction, queen b4 check, hitting him from the other side of the board, decided matters, because black's king is even going to get mated on the queen side. Black went king d7, and I played rook f7 check, king came to e8. If he goes this other way, king to c8, then there's queen c5 check. So he goes king to e8, and then rook g7. He decided to call it a day. I mean, you know, the position's completely hopeless for black. White getting ready to push his pass pawn or double on the g file, and meanwhile black's pieces can't do anything to help defend their king. So it's really all over. So yeah, so I think against g6 the right plan for white is this bishop e3 and queen d2 plan. But as I say, it's probably better to conduct the attack in a slightly saner way than I did in this game, and especially if you're playing against Mr. Shredder.